Yep. Hi everyone, this is Sports Replays, and here's how I did this week. So a fair bit better this week. Bit of an average score to be honest, nothing crazy, but I've gone up 22,000 in rankings, which I'm happy about. 1,944, so it's middle of the road. It's probably about par, maybe it's slightly below par. 2,000 is probably where the average is, or at least for a serious Supercoach player. So let's have a look. It wasn't terrible, wasn't a disaster, but there's a few things that annoyed me a little bit. Not as much as last week. So we've got Sheasel 81. Wasn't that great, to be honest. North Melbourne get their first 10-goal win in a very long time, so that's good for them. They didn't have to rely on Sheasel, and they relied on a great team effort, which is probably the best team performance I've seen them play in a very long time. So look, it's good for North Melbourne. They're gonna, they might even be bottom. They might even be bottom four this year. We don't know. It depends how good Melbourne are. I don't think Melbourne are that good. They're gonna be even worse than last year, I reckon. Even though Petrarca is back in the side. I know it's only round 2, but the future doesn't really look too bright for Melbourne. But who knows? So that's a good win from them. And then 91, Holmes, which is a little bit disappointing. Compared to last week, Geelong were overall pretty poor. Their Supercoach scores none of their players scored particularly well. I don't think anyone scored over 100 for Geelong, which is a bit unlike them. I think St Kilda absolutely dominated them for the Supercoach scoring, even though they only won by 7 points. The midfield got smashed. Sort of their forward line that kept Geelong in at the end. I guess because the scaling for Supercoach, where St Kilda did all the damage early on, sort of scaled to their advantage. Geelong got a few goals late. The game was over. Well, majority of the damage was done early. So I'm guessing that's the reason why. And look, 91's on a terrible score, but when he's not a pod, but I think he's owned about 20 or 30% of coaches, so it's not a huge deal, but you want to aim for 110 for his price point. So hopefully it's just an off game. It might even be an off game for Geelong. Who knows? It's hard to tell. And then Roberts 115. So I'm happy with that. And it looks like he's going to be looking like a top 6 defender at this stage. So looking good. Matt Roberts. And then Harry Perryman 57, which is probably the most disappointing play in my team this week. This is simply because the hype around him. It looks like he's a trap that everyone sort of fought for. Now, I didn't get rid of him this week because I had another even bigger issue with Luke Cleary getting concussed and not playing. So I had to upgrade to a DeConning. I just think that would have been better in the short term and potentially maybe even the long term. I can see why a lot of people got rid of Perryman. But in my situation, since Luke Cleary was a pod who failed, I sort of had to correct that mistake in doing so. If not, then I probably would have got Perryman and swapped it for a DeConning, most likely. So it looks like Perryman was a trap at this stage. He had like one good game, but he's been mediocre for the next 2. I'll probably still hold him at this stage until upgrade season. Hope he doesn't leak too much more cash. He might even hopefully have a couple of good games to rebound. But I'm just going to have to hold on to him at this stage unless he has an absolute shocker. Was he even that good of a player? Not really. I just hope he rebounds back. Ideally you get rid of him last week, but I was going to have a really look. I'd rather having I'd rather having Perryman on field than having Zach Reed on field. Just to put it that way. The Conning on field wasn't particularly that great either. Everyone traded him in. So, that might even be a bad move. Cleary did perform well and actually did alright the other week and was playing this week. Potentially could have been alright, but who knows? You just do what was sort of a temporary option and potentially long-term option. And then Reed was ordinary, just like the whole Essendon defence was just crap. So look, he's got a long way to go, Reed. He's still coming back from injury, and he's just, I guess for him, for the first part of the season, is just, keep him fit and just not getting injured. I don't expect him to be the next Scarlett or anything, but, 36, it's going to be a slow burn. Hope he keeps his spot. He probably should, but, it's not even a guarantee. I think Lewis Hayes potentially could come in maybe after that performance. I think Pryor did a bit better. If you had him, you wouldn't be too unhappy. I think there was a few other defenders that did a lot better this week for the rookies. So League didn't play. He was used as a loophole. Or Kemp could be used as a loophole. So he probably going to have to go, or just use him as a loophole. Maybe even bring someone else in next week. Another rookie and trade him out. How much cash do I have? 25, so it's probably not quite enough. I'm going to have to wait and see what I'm going to do next week or this week going forward, because it's a 4-day turnaround. It all starts Thursday night, which makes things a little bit harder. Well, actually, not really, because I'm just not a fan of Thursday nights. It's not good for Supercoach. It's difficult for people who work. And then Sarong, 99. He must have got a lot of scaling towards the end there, because he was on like 60 with 5 to 10 minutes left to go. And I'm just thinking, he's not even going to get 80. And he, got 30. I don't know how that happened. He got a few disposables late. I think he got a nice spoil as well. Although, 20 points for a spoil. So I don't know how they calculated that. But he got to 99, almost got 100 somehow. So it's a bit lucky there. Freo, again, I just don't think they have a good enough forward line to really do any damage if they make finals. I just don't think they. I did make a prediction of getting top 4, but I just don't think their style sort of meets it now. Sort of wrong. I know it's only round 2. Brisbane lost their first few games and bounced back and won the premiership. And then Connor Rosie, 130, took the vice captain option as a safe option, and it looks like it wasn't a dumb idea. It was just a smart idea, safe idea. He was playing Richmond, which is predict to finish bottom. And Port did do a smashing on him, so it's back down to earth for Richmond. They weren't going to do that twice. I guess have the crowd at the G sort of helped a little bit as well, but. 130. Happy with that from Rosie. And then Oliver, another player who did well. So 130. Sort of probably Melbourne's second best player. I think Chandler was their best player. Then you had Oliver, and then there was a bit of a gap between everyone else. There's a few players who tried, but Melbourne got smashed by a little bit more inexperienced side of North Melbourne. And look, 2 years ago, I remember Melbourne smashing North Melbourne by over 100. They almost beat Melbourne last year. And I could sort of see the writing on the wall with Melbourne. They might even finish bottom 4. They probably might even finish. Still reckon they're better than Richmond and West Coast. Maybe probably even worse than Essendon. I just don't think their scoring power is just good enough. Oh, and it's only round 2. They might bounce back, Melbourne, who knows. But look, Oliver, that's all I really care about. That's all we're doing well. Will Ashcroft, 104. This is standard score. He did better. Came back in the last quarter as well. So that's all right. Better than last week. O'Driscoll looks like one of the better rookies this season. Well, I think he's not really a rookie, but he's been in the system for a few years now. So, happy with that. Levi Ashcroft, 72. Sort of fallen away a little bit in the second half. But 72 is okay. Lindsay, traded him in for Sardis, which looks like to be a good idea. Sardis actually did alright this week. Scored a similar amount to Lindsay. So, if you hold Sardis, you wouldn't be too unhappy about it. But I think Lindsay, bring him in slightly cheaper. And has a slightly higher average at the moment, so he should have a lower break even. You still make money with Stardust, but it's good at getting the ball. His just efficiency has been poor, just like Essendon in the last couple of weeks. And then Nivet, 58, a little disappointing. So Geelong did lose, and the Supercoach scoring was pretty poor for Geelong. So, I mean, yeah, look, as long as you didn't get below under 50, still scored more than any of the bench players that I had, which was Cam Horali is the only one who really scored. Other two, Pacey didn't get selected, so dead rookie there, and Callahan didn't play. Then in the ruck, got Sherry. So if I did captain Sherry, it would have been 6 points better off, but I'm not going to take that risk with 130. You take the 130 any day because you never know, Sherry could get injured. But yeah, he actually dominated Gorn. He killed Gorn. So look, yeah, he's probably the best ruckman in the comp with Tom DeConning. Which we'll get to the rucks in a minute because there's a few problems here too. Boyd didn't get selected, and then yeah, Matt Flynn. So this is looks like it was one of those ones that happened late after when I made my trades. Yeah, look, Flynn. It wasn't a huge deal this week, but it will be in a few weeks' time. But I believe Bailey Williams did get sub out, so I'm not too sure if he's injured. If he is, then Flynn's going to get selected, hopefully. And that sort of resolve that problem. All we really need is a couple price rises, then I'll probably upgrade to a Tom DeConing. That's probably what I will do. And then the 4 line. So Horn Francis has probably been one of our most disappointing players. Everyone's picked him. So, I mean, look, it is only round 2. The red flags aren't there yet, but all the hype around him. He's been the system for a few years now. So we'll just hope and wait and see he bounces back. He's got Essendon, so wait and see. I'm expecting him to bounce back. I was hoping he would get 100 against Richmond. Well, everyone has Horn Francis, so it's not a big deal, but it sort of is in a way. If people are going to get rid of him, probably hold at this stage because I do think he's going to bounce back. I know he's due for a good game, and it'll probably be against us, unfortunately. And then Isaac Rankin, 97. He got subbed off, so he could have got to 120. But look, we'll just soon see with the injury. He either gets injured or gets suspended. He's one of those players, and that's why it was a bit funny. Had a bit of a funny feeling with him. Like when he plays, excellent selection, but there's always some injury or some suspension that sort of gets in his way, performing to his full potential. And then McRae, he's probably pick of the year at the moment. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more we can say. 162. He's got that role. Helped St Kilda, win. Dominant. Absolutely destroyed Geelong's midfield. You can't really ask for much more. This is better than expected. He's been dead the last few seasons. Been, pretty terrible by his standards. And McRae just showed why he was one of the top Supercoach picks for 5 or 6 years. He's back, and he's better than ever by the looks of it. And Riley Sanders, another player, that I probably should have done a bit more research on. And I mean, look, it's not a complete disaster. He's probably performing around his break even anyway, so I'm not going to lose any money out of him. But you want to gain, 150,000 cash generation at least for some of these mid prices or rookies. So he's potentially, he's probably a hold at this stage. I was just hoping he's going to get that better role since Bontempelli is out, and same with Trelaw. But yeah, he's not getting not even those 80 or 90 scores, which is what I was hoping for. Who the Bulldogs got next week? Carlton. They've got a good strong middle. That's actually going to be a tough game to pick, that one. It is at Marvel, and it's Carlton's home game at Marvel, which is a bit odd. But Daniel, great game from him. It's one of the reasons why North Melbourne won by 10 goals. His elite kicking showed off and really helped North Melbourne get their first 10-goal win in a while. So, yeah, fantastic game from Daniel. He's another player that left the Bulldogs and has bounced back, and he showed back to his best as well. Stone didn't play, and took the loophole as Davidson, so delivered what we wanted. 72, happy with that. And then Kako 34, disappointing. Got a few goals, but only got 34. Was a bit robbed. I guess a couple of them were in junk time where the game was kind of over at the point. At least one of them was. So he didn't really have the scaling to his advantage. Unlike last week where he got a goal in the first quarter. And then the flex, I traded in Orr for Power Pepper, which is probably ended up being a stupid decision because Power Pepper bounced back, which is sort of what I was expected. But I guess I'll use that cash to do a bit of an upgrade here. So it sort of evens out in the end. So it wasn't a move I really wanted to do. Really. I'm not even too sure if Max Hall keeps his spot. So it was maybe a bit of a dumb move on my behalf. Maybe I should just hold that trade. It's that's the problem when you have a pod that does perform poorly or gets injured or doesn't do that well. You have to remove him from the side and fixing up with another player who didn't do that great either. Overall, not too bad this week. Not that great. Pretty mediocre. Bit better though. What I'm going to do for trades, I haven't really had an idea yet. But all I know is I have to bring him in. So round 3, probably Look, I'm not even too sure who I'm going to bring in, to be honest. I mean, Harriman's got the buy. I could potentially get rid of him, but I've already lost money on him. And who am I going to upgrade? I've only got 25k. I'll go to another primo or bring in another rookie, potentially, and then use that cash to upgrade. Maybe a Matt Flynn to a Ruckman, but I might even know the Ruckman they want to get in, Tom and Cotting. I don't think I will have enough of that. So I'm not too sure about that yet. And then probably still 1 or 2 rounds away from upgrade season, so I probably won't even use my boost this week unless there's a few players, a few cash trends that I have to bring in. Probably wait and see. No one got injured this week. I'm not too sure about Rankin though. He did get subbed out, but hopefully it's just a precaution preparing for next week. And Bailey Williams did get subbed out, so hopefully Flynn does come in. Not too sure about either of those. Mediocre. Could be better, could be a lot worse. I'll have to wait and see what I'm going to do with trades. Thank you for watching.